Hello and welcome back everybody to episode 7 of Couch to Coder. This episode we're going to be covering MatplotLib. This is a package similar to Pandas that we import and is great for visualizing data, and it's kind of the beginning point of visualization that everyone seems to use for Python. So we'll go ahead and get right in. As promised from last episode, we are going to be using the data that we made in the last episode and visualize it and use some of our pandas tools to make some pretty cool looking charts. So the objective for today is to create a pie chart of survivors versus non-survivors on the Titanic. We need to add labels and a title to this pie chart. We're also going to do a scatter plot of age versus the fair paid, see if there's any sort of correlation there. We are going to add axes labels and a title to that as well. We're going to create a histogram of the age of the passengers versus the age of the surviving passengers. And we're going to recolor this to be red for the did not survive and green for the did survive. And then we're also lastly going to create a stacked bar chart of male versus female, survived versus not survived. And we're going to also recolor this for the green survived, red did not survive. So to hop right in, just like we imported pandas, we need to import matplotlib. So matplotlib.pyplot. And just as we did pandas as PD, we are going to make this PLT as in plot. So there we go. Those are imported. And so now we need to get in our data. So we'll go back to the last lesson here and actually take that same line, that Titanic data frame. So there we are, we have the Titanic data frame, and we are looking to create a chart of survivors versus non-survivors. So let's go ahead and find our survivors chart. There it is. So there's our survivor data frame. And we will just go ahead and create a non-survivor data frame here. Boom. All right, so we now have our survivor and our non-survivor data frame. So now we need to just create a pie chart of this. So to create a pie chart, we will use plt.py. So using our abbreviation PLT. And pie charts accept a list of things that go into the pie chart. So we will create a list here. And what we're really looking for is we're looking for the number of survivors and the number of non-survivors. So that would be the length of our survivor data frame and the length of our non-survivor data frame. So we'll go length of survivor data frame. And we will do length of our non-survivor data frame. Alrighty, so if we run that, you can see we get this pie chart, but what does this pie chart really mean? We don't really know. So we need to develop some labels and actually make it a little readable. So to put labels on a pie chart, it's really easy. You just add another property, and that is labels. So the first one we put in was survivors. So survived, and the second one we put in was did not survive. So if we run this guy again, we have now survived and did not survived. And the last thing we need to do is add a title to this, which is just plt.title. And we will call this the Titanic survivors pie chart. Alrighty. So one important thing to note moving forward, and this is just something that applies to Anaconda in this case, is every instance of a chart, everything you add to it stays within the same code block. So if I were to run this exact plt.py down here, you'll see that we do not have the title because we don't have this title line. So if we were to do a bar chart, whatnot, in a separate box, then anything we put up here, the title, anything like that, will not apply to that bar chart. Alrighty, so that is the first objective done, to create a pie chart of survivors versus non-survivors. So let's go into the next objective, which is create a scatter plot of age versus fair paid. So we'll delete that extra cell here. So first we need a scatter plot, or we need all of our ages, and we need all of our fair paid. So this has nothing to do with our survivors versus non-survivors, so we don't need these anymore. So we will do a Titanic data frame of age. So that gives us all of our ages. And we will also do a Titanic data frame of fair. So that's our fair paid. So we have these two, but we need to actually put that into a scatter plot. So the plt.scatter accepts at minimum 2 arguments, an x and a y, as you need for a scatter plot. So we're going to go ahead and put our age as the x and our fair as the right. So we're going to say ages is there. We're going to say fairs is that guy. So now we can do ages, comma, fairs. And if we run this, we should get, there it is. So it looks like there's no real correlation with ages versus fairs. It almost looks like you have a bit of a normal curve going on here. Not particularly though. You see a lot of people did the budget, and then you have a fair amount of people that went into the upper range here. But again, you don't really know what you're looking at. So you need an X label and a Y label. So that's as simple as plt.xlabel, and our X label is age in terms of years. And we'll do a plt.y label, and this is our fair paid in terms of euros. Alrighty, so if we run the same block again, now we have fair paid in age versus euros. And why not give it a title? So we'll go plt.title of, and we will call this age versus fair paid. And there we go. So now we have objective 2 done. Create a scatter plot of age versus fair paid. Alright, so our third one is create a histogram of age of passengers versus a histogram of survivors with their age. So first we need to start by actually just getting the age of the passenger's histogram. So if you can't follow the trend here, we're going to be using a plt.hist, but we need to actually be using multiple of these, right? Because now we're putting 2 histograms, one on top of the other. So believe it or not, to get one histogram on top of the other on the same exact chart, you just need another plt.hist. So in our first one, we need the age of all the passengers. So let's do our Titanic data frame of age. And for our second one, we need the data frame of the survivors. So we can use the survivor data frame here. So survivor data frame. And we only want the ages of the survivors though. So we'll go ahead and do that. If we run this, we should see that, okay, we have everyone here in the back, and the overlapping in the orange is all the survivors. But these colors aren't very intuitive, right? You wouldn't think of blue as the overall people, and what does blue really represent? Blue really represents the people in these age categories that didn't make it. And what does the orange represent? It represents the people who did make it, right? So we're going to go ahead and change the color here, which you just give it a color property, and we're going to say the color of everyone that didn't make it, which is what's being shown, is red. And we're going to go ahead and change the color for the people who did make it to green. All right, so now you see it's a lot more intuitive. That in the green is that who survived, and that in the red is, well, that who didn't. So what else did it want? It wanted to recolor, and that's it. But I think we should also just give it a title. So plt.title of age of passengers survived versus did not survive. Definitely wouldn't suggest that long of a title, but there it is. So, and we'll go ahead and give it plt.xlabel of age, and this was in terms of years, and plt.ylabel of number of passengers. All right, so now we have our age in terms of years and our number of passengers labels on. So that is our third histogram, our third objective done, the histogram. So the last objective we need to get done then is create a stacked bar chart of male versus female, survived versus did not survive. Alrighty, so here we need to use, similar to how we did a bar chart or a histogram, we need to actually overlay bar charts, but we don't want one sitting on top of the other. We really want a stacked bar chart, right? So we want kind of one on the bottom and one on the top, and MatplotLib actually recognizes this, the thing people want. So there's a bottom property that is in the plt.bar. So when you add the second bar chart, you can say which one you want on the bottom, and it will build there from there. So we need our male data frame. So let's go back to this old guy, and I'm sure it's in here somewhere. Okay, so here's the male data frame, and here is the female data frame. And now we need the survived male, which is the male data frame of the male data frame of survived, and that would be exactly equal to 1. And we'll do this same exact thing, but for female. All right, so we run that. Looks like we have an S somewhere in there. Get rid of that guy. Okay. And I did the same thing when I copied and pasted. All right, so we now have a male data frame, a survived male, a female, and a survived female. So if we have all of the males and we know the number of those, and we have all of the survived males, and we know that the did not survive males, so our no serve male is going to be equal to the length of the male data frame minus the length of the survive male data frame. So now we have that, and we can do this same thing for female. So we'll go ahead and do that. Alrighty. So now we have all we need for the stacked bar chart. We have the number of males that survived, the number of males that didn't survive, and we have the number of females that survived and the number of females that didn't survive. So we're going to go ahead and create a survived list, which is going to be the males and the females that survived. So we're going to take this length of serve male and the length of our serve female. So this list is our survive list, and if we were to print that, then you will see that 109 males survived and 233 females survived. So we will make our no serve list, and our no survivors are already in terms of an integer. So we just need that no serve male and the no serve female. Okay. So now you have what can be entered for your first bar chart, which is the survivors, which you'll put on the bottom, and then what you can put into your second bar chart, which is the no survivors, which will be on the top. So let's go ahead and plot that. So we're going to do plt.bar of serve list, and we're going to say the color of that guy is going to be equal to green, because we want it to be shown that they're surviving. So then we're going to do another plt.bar, and we're going to do the no serve list. We're going to color this one red because they didn't make it. And the last thing we need to do is we need to actually tell it which one we want on the bottom so that they don't overlap. So we're going to say the bottom is going to be the survivors list. And that should be everything you need. So if you plot this guy, this needs to be in quotations, and so does that. Missing the requirement of height. Aha. So the bar chart needs X indexes and Y indexes like anything else. So we need to actually give it some names here. And so the first name is male, and the second name is female. And this can be copied and pasted down into the bottom part as well. All right, so now you can see the number of males that made it as opposed to the numbers of males that didn't make it, number of females that made it and females that didn't make it. So we will go ahead and give this some labels. So we know the X label, so the Y label is going to be number of people, and then the title is going to be men versus women survived stacked bar chart. All right, so you have the men versus women survived stack bar chart. You can see that a lot more women made it off the Titanic than men. My guess is that they prioritized getting the women and the children off. You can see here that a majority of the children made it off from the ages of 0 to 20, especially 0 to 10. A lot of them made it off, and then a lot of the women made it off. So thank you so much for watching. We have now completed our 4th objective of creating the stack bar chart. If you made it this far in the video, thank you so much. If you have any questions or comments or any suggestions for what you'd like to see, you can leave it in the comments as well. And if that is it, we will see you in the next episode. Thank you.